welcome back, guys, to this episode of Fireside Chat. I've been getting some comments from people and some negativity and things like that, so I want to try to sum some stuff up, fix your perception, and really explain things truly on how homesteading is. So, the first comment a lot of people say is, "Oh my God, I can't live out in the middle of nowhere." Well, in my opinion, the middle of nowhere gives you quietness, gives you peace of mind, gives you safety, and gives you a healthier way of life. The problem is we're all looking at it wrong. We look in our minds and we say, oh, Walmart's a mile down the road, the gas station's half a mile down the road, this and that and this and that. But start thinking about the negativities of the city. You have pollution, you have litter, you have smog, you have home burglaries, you have noisy neighbors, you have just a multitude of things that, people complain about on a daily basis and you don't think about it. When you come out to the middle of nowhere, BFE or whatever you want to call it, you got to think. You have fresh air. There's no litter and trash and beer bottles and cans all over the place. You don't have to worry about somebody robbing you or breaking into your house and stealing your stuff. And, you don't have neighbors that are partying till 1 in the morning with loud music and DJs and things like that. Or husband and wives having disputes and screaming and slamming doors and everything like that. That's just one thing you got to consider. The next thing that everybody has mentioned, which is not true at all, is if I move in the middle of nowhere, I don't have anything. That's not true. Depending on the money you have and depending on what you want to spend, you can have everything you have in the city. For example, I've spent about $18,000 on my solar, and with that, I can have a microwave, I can have a coffee pot, I can have a toaster, I have a regular washer, I have a regular dryer, with one exception. The dryer is propane, and the reason for that is because solar, electric heater, or any type of heating element that's electric draws too much power. So I have a washer and dryer. It's just the dryer is propane. I have a on-demand hot water heater, which is propane. I have a regular stove, 4 burners, the oven, everything like that, the broiler at the bottom, that's propane. I have a regular shower. Once I plumb my garden soak tub upstairs, I'll have a big garden soak tub. I have 2 flush toilets in my house. I have my kitchen sink. I have 2 bathroom sinks. I have a television. I have internet. I have a Wi-Fi wireless router. And I have lights in all my rooms. I can run a vacuum cleaner. I can run power drills, things like that. Now, one thing you want to consider is if you don't spend a lot on solar or whatnot, let me move this chair so it doesn't squeak. If you don't spend a lot of power or a lot of money on solar, you're not going to have the power. Another thing, I do not have enough batteries in my system to take me for multiple days. So as long as the sun comes out every day, I have power. Rainy days that are clouds all day, you get very little bit of sun, but depending on what you use, you might not have to do that. Also, I have a fridge and freezer. I forgot to mention that. But with my solar, my backup is a generator. I bought a propane generator because I'm at about 8,500 feet. And sometimes with gasoline and diesel, you have issues and things like that. So I have a propane generator. It's cleaner. I don't have to carry 5-gallon jugs to the gas station, fill it up with gas and diesel, and then pour it and spill it on my hands, spill it on my clothes. It's just a lot easier doing propane. So I've purchased a bunch of 100-pound propane tanks. I have one that runs my dryer and my hot water heater. And I have one that runs my generator, and I'll be getting another one for my stove. At this point, I'm using a barbecue grill propane tank to run my stove. So it's things like that you've got to consider. When I run all my power drills and my air compressors and stuff like that, I use my generator. When we have snow days, all I do is start the generator up. I plug the breaker box into the generator. I have power on a snowy day, rainy day, cloudy day, what have you. So that's another thing that's a misconception with homesteading is, if I go out in the middle of the woods, I don't have nothing. I'm going to have to swim in a creek. I'm going to have to do my laundry in a river. I'm going to have to bathe in a lake or a pond. And that's not the case at all. So for off-grid, these are things that I have done that you could possibly do. Or, if you want to spend the money or you had the possibility of getting different scenario situations that I'll go over, then that's up to you. For me, to have a well, this property did not come with a well. I could get a well. For where I'm at to get to water, it's $18,000, roughly. My neighbor paid $17,900 for one, and I think $18,000 for the second one. And that's no guarantee. If they don't hit water, you spent $18,000. Now, for those of you that have money, have at it. Spend that money, try to hit that water. For me, I'm a poor homesteader. I live on $1,000 a month. I don't have that money to spend $18,000. Now, one way you can have water almost for free, minus building a house or something like that, is what Mother Nature gives us. The planet was created for everything on this planet, and one thing that we're given is life, and life is water. Water is life. So therefore, I do rain catchment here at my house. I have, one tank on my pantry and half of my upstairs roof. I have one tank on the other half of my upstairs roof, so that's two, and a tank on my front roof. So I have three 275-gallon IBC totes underneath those roofs. I also have one on the chicken coop, and I have one on the goat barn. So far, in the last several years, this past December, this winter has been so dry, I've had to order my first truckload of water. It cost me $225 for 3,000 gallons. So that was the first water truck I've had to bring onto this property. And I think one reason, actually there's three reasons that I think I had to get water this year. One, this winter has been super dry, so I have not got the snow. And also, I wasn't here the previous spring during the rain season because I went back home for 3 months and saw family and things. So I wasn't able to collect that water. The second thing was I started my garden up in my bathroom that you can see on other videos. And three, I got animals. I started getting chickens and rabbits and ducks and geese and everything like that. So they consume water. So I'm going through approximately twice as much water as I've been using. I was around 320, 340 gallons a month. Right now, I'm burning through about 700 to 750 a month. So just a little more than double. So that's one thing you can consider. You can, if you have the money or you want to, get a loan, something like that. Go ahead, spend that, and you can get a well. If you want to go the cheap free way, minus a roof and tanks and things like that, so it will still cost you money, you can do rain catchment. The second thing is power. How do all these lights and everything run? And that's solar. I went ahead, my grandfather lent me the money and I did solar. That's one thing I wanted to have. That goes back to the well. $18,000 for a well. I got about $18,000 in solar, but I bartered out a lot of time and labor. So altogether, I got about $25,000 between the installation and everything else. But cash wise, it's only 18,000. I worked the other $7,000 off by doing work and labor, mixing concrete, putting up cinder block walls, and things like that. So there's always motives. There's always a way you could barter and trade. You just got to ask around, see who's in your area, and see what people are willing to do. If you didn't want to do solar, then of course you're in the dark. Before I got solar, I lived, I think, a year and a half, maybe 2 years without power. The only thing I had was my generator. And because it costs a lot of money to run a generator, I only ran the generator for 1 to 2 hours a day. That was enough to make all my cuts. I had all my boards and things marked for my building supplies. So in those 2 hours, I charged my phone, I charged my laptop, and I did all the cuts and everything that I needed, and my screw gun to screw down whatever I needed to screw down for those days. I also went out to thrift stores, antique shops, and Goodwill, and I went out and found those old oil lamps, and you can pick them up for, 3, 4, $5 a piece, or you can go to Walmart and buy a brand new one for $10. But if you're trying to be cheap, go to the thrift store, go to Goodwill and things like that. Buy the oil lamps. That's how I lived for 2 years, year and a half to 2 years. I had an oil lamp in all the rooms, if not 3 or 4, just so it was like having lights on. And then what I did was I got a little cook stove from Walmart for camping, and I cooked on that because I didn't have the money at the time to buy a regular stove, nor did I have the room or anything like that. So that's another thing to consider. Then for septic, I went ahead, I built my own septic system. You can go ahead, you can buy a big concrete one, have it delivered. Once again, you're going to be spending a lot of money, or you can do it cheap. What I did was I tied a couple 55-gallon drums together. I dug underneath, put about 2 feet of big boulder rocks, and drilled some holes in the tanks. So that will seep down and go in the rocks. The rocks will give space. And in the area of my septic tanks, I have weeds that grow up to 5, 6 foot tall during the summer. Now, those plants or those weeds are all mowed down because the goats and chickens and everything have chewed everything down. So I'm not going to have that problem with all the weeds. But it's one way that letting it go down back into the earth, it's breaking down, it's going through the soil, and then eventually the plants break it down farther and they produce food for the animals and things like that. And as the leaves and stalks break down, fall on the ground, it becomes compost, and I get better soil. Trying to think the other questions I had. Oh, okay. Do I regret coming out into the middle of nowhere? No, I don't. The reasons why are basically what I've already said. I don't have to worry about my house being broken into. When I lived in Colorado Springs, my house was broken into twice. The first time I was home, I was able to stop the break-in because I had my gun on me. The second time I wasn't home and the neighbors saw flashlights in my window, called the cops. The cops showed up and caught all three suspects inside my house. And unfortunately, Colorado Springs DA is a piece of garbage in my mind. Two of the guys got 30 days in jails, 30 days in jail and set free. They didn't have to pay any restitution, even though they broke doors, broke windows, broke cabinets, tore wires out of my walls and things like that. The other guy, however, he got, I believe, another 4 years in prison. He had just got out a week before he robbed my house, and he spent, I think, 8 years in prison for a murder charge. So he got out. 7 days later, he shacked up with these 18, 19-year-olds and decided to go on a robbing spree. And I think they robbed 6 or 7 houses till they finally got caught inside my house. So there's things like that that, I don't have to sleep with, listening for a pin to drop. I can sleep now where a freight train could go through my house and I'm not concerned. However, I do have my dogs now. I have geese and things like that. So the animals do alert me when things are going on and they wake me up. But if they're not making any noise, I can sleep soundly. Another thing I enjoy being out here in the wilderness is the simple fact that when I was in the city, I had to drive to go for a hike. I had to drive to go into the woods or go fishing, things like that. Here on my mountain, I have a switchback road, which I'll show later this spring when I'll take the goats out for a hike. And that is, there's a switchback that they did dynamite and blown all the way to the top where the internet tower is. I have my own private hiking path. It takes about 45 minutes to get to the top, and I don't have to drive anywhere. I don't have to spend gas or anything like that, and I can hike it anytime I want, day or night. Some parks, they shut down. You're not allowed in there at night. I like to hike up to the mountain late at night and lay at the top of the mountain and just look at the stars. You can see the Milky Way, shooting stars, and when planets come closer, I mean, it's like you're right there. Especially, I think up there, I think it's 9,000 feet or 9,200 feet, something like that. So, I mean, it's a beautiful view. And during the day, you can see 4 different mountain ranges and you can see 360 degrees all the way around. It's something that you just don't have in the city. Um, Also, being out in nature, I've had close calls. Some of you know, and I can make videos on things that have happened. But I've had mountain lion try to kill me. I've had bears trying to get in my house. I have bobcats, coyotes, wolves, everything like that. So yes, there's a little bit of danger out here where you don't have that in the city. But I also have elk, I have deer, I have antelope, foxes, all different types of birds, um, just all different types of animals that you don't get to see. And there's nothing like walking out the house and watching a deer walking through your property. Just, just happy, just roaming and everything like that. Another thing that I have out here in the mountains that you don't have in the city would be the simple fact that I can shoot my guns on my own property. I can burn my trash if I want to. I can cut my own firewood off my property. I can get my own boulders and things like that to do barbecue grills or outline my driveway in boulders. Things like that in the city, you have codes. Out here, I have all these animals. You can have animals. You can shoot your guns. We don't have all the regulations because we're not confined to a tiny little shoebox in the middle of a gigantic neighborhood, in the middle of a gigantic city, which is all encased in concrete and asphalt. It's a concrete and asphalt jungle. There's no trees, no grass. What you had there, it's not pleasant. Out here, it's quiet. Everybody that's come out here has trouble sleeping when they spend the night, which I find funny because it took me a bit to be able to sleep because you get used to police sirens or gunshots or noisy neighbors or just the noises of cars driving by your house or a train. Out here, it's dead silent. If my animals don't make a sound, you don't hear nothing. You close your eyes and you can hear voices in your head because that's how quiet it is. And for me, it's great meditation. It's a great time to think back on my life choices, the hardships and things that I've gone through, and how homesteading has totally changed that. I went from, some hard times and some good times, and, you know, heartache and mental stress and daily stress and things like that to homesteading just lets you relax. I wake up when I want, I do what I want. You know, I go out, I hang out with the animals, I work the land. Like I've said in other videos, this year's going to be a major year. I'm doing vegetable gardens. I'm doing orchard. I'm going to start my orchard this year. I'm going to uh, hopefully get milk goats. If I can get milk goats this year, then I'll be on track for next year, which will be honeybees and pigs. And I mean, the homestead's just growing at a fantastic rate. I mean, I'm happy. I can't figure out anything else I would rather do. You could pay me $1 million to go work in an office or a call center, and I would tell you take that $1 million and stick it where the sun doesn't shine, because there's nothing like the peace and quiet, the animals, the nature, and just the spiritual connection to the land. I mean, to lay out on my roof during the spring, summer, and fall and watch shooting stars go by and have some of my friends out here to enjoy that time with me and play card games until 3 in the morning. I mean, it's nothing like having barbecues and get togethers and things like that. And one thing that I want to do by 2020 is out of my upstairs door, I'm going to make a big patio, and I want to make a little barbecue or fire pit. And next to that, I want to take the stones and boulders off my property with some mortar and concrete, and I want to make a spit roaster. So that way, when I get pigs or goats, I can have a bunch of friends up here, and we can do a spit roast, and I'll have all these chairs around the fire pit, and it's going to be nothing but good times. And there's nobody to tell us, hey, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, you got to go to bed, because I don't have that regulations out here. And I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be great to have friends, family, and fun around the homestead. And it's nothing like sharing good, healthy food with the people you care about. I'm not sure what else. If anybody has any questions, you know, leave them in the description box below in the comment box, or send me a private message. I've been getting more chickens. If you've seen those videos, I picked up another 45 hens this month. I picked up 3 geese and 2 goats. So the homestead's growing. I just got, I think, 15 baby bunnies that 4 of them are furred, and the other 13 are still hairless right now. So the homestead's growing, and that's pretty much about it. So I can't think of anything else off grid. I mean, I do wood stove. My neighbor's on solar. He has a pellet stove, but he also has more power than me, and he's also connected to the grid. So for any off-grid things you can think of that you have questions for, let me know. But pretty much, I have everything you have in the city. I have all the appliances. I have, you know, TV, internet, everything like that. I do wood stove instead of pellet stove because I don't have enough power to run a pellet stove 24/7. That is one thing I will consider probably when I hit about 40, which be 10 years from now, because I can go ahead and get pallet loads of pellets, and then I don't have all the firewood that I have to store under tarps and try to keep dry and things like that. And when I get the spare bedroom one, I'll have a closet, which I'll be able to put, you know, a bunch of pellets inside of that. So it's different things that I'll be considering over the years. And, you know, as you guys continue this journey with me, and hopefully I can get you guys into homesteading. Hopefully you will see through my eyes, through your eyes, and realize that, you know, this is something you guys should do. And that brings me to one more thing now that I just thought about it by saying that comment. So a lot of people are telling me I can't homestead because I don't have the money. And my thing is to you, you can homestead. You do have the money. If you have a job, if you have an income, you have some type of disposable income. Because whether it's spending $10 a month buying, what, 4 boxes of Twinkies because you like Twinkies, that's $10 a month you have. You take that for a whole year, that's $120. That $120 will buy you, let's see, if you got into chicks, let's see, if you bought, no, let's just say laying hens, because I've been buying laying hens. I'm not buying baby chicks. But I'm buying my laying hens for $10 a chicken, right? So if you have $120 you put aside this year, that's 12 laying hens you have, okay? If you have a garden, if you get a garden going and you spend, say, $10 on seeds, you know, you got the vegetables to feed those chickens. Those chickens give you eggs. Therefore, you're not spending money at the store buying eggs. So then you save more money. And you just got to look. You got to say, okay, I spend money on this bottle of wine, or I spend this money on a thing of cigarettes, or I spend this money going to the movie theater, things like that. Or your TV bill. There's so many websites online, which I don't see how people don't know about them. The movie site that I use is twomovies.net. TWOMOVIES.net. And I watch all my TV shows. I watch movies. And if you sign in and get an account or whatever, it's free. No charge. You don't need a credit card for your account. Nothing. You can give them a fake name. You can say, I'm John Smith. I live on 6612 Mars Boulevard. And then just give a city, zip, and state. You don't even have to be truthful in it. But by doing that, you subscribe to the television shows that you want, and it sends you an email. So I get an email that says, hey, there's a new TV show on this TV show available. So then I hop on my computer, plug it into my television through an HDMI cord, and boom, I got free TV. Internet, I give for free. I know you're going to have to pay for it, but think about that. If you just had an internet bill and you could cut the cable TV, how much money could you save a month? I know some people spending $200+ a month for HBO and all these stations when you could be going online and getting TV and movies for free. So it's something to consider. Find those ways to cut, save that money, start getting the ideas up here in your head, start visualizing. If you have to draw it out on a piece of paper. Get a dry erase board. That's one thing that saved me. I'll do drawings on my mirrors. If you don't have a dry erase board, I draw on my mirrors. And I'll be like, okay, I want to do this, so I'll draw it, and then I'm like, oh, I don't like it here. Well, I can erase it and draw the next line out and over and things like that. So it's all up to you. It's what you want in life. For me, you know, we weren't born to, you know, just get a job and pay bills and survive. In my mind, we were here put on this planet to homestead and thrive. Because in this lifestyle, it's a happy lifestyle. It's a life of freedom and enjoyment. So with that, I hope everybody has a good night, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Live happy, live free. That's the only way to be.